How are you? Welcome. It's Mikhail. It's so good to see you on here. I am setting up my equipment and recording this class because this today is a class that is part of a trilogy. And it began by understanding how to rewrite your destiny, how to align with your empowered destiny. Because everyone has a destination, which is what your destiny is. And one's either created by your ego, which is your disempowered destiny, or it's created and crafted by your truer self, your soul and spirit, which becomes your empowered destiny. And so these three classes are understanding how do you align with that empowered destiny so that you can rewrite wherever you are in your journey of spirituality, you can rewrite and align with your empowered future. We began the first phase, the first stage of this trilogy was on understanding how to change your limiting beliefs, because your limiting beliefs are a part of being in the present moment. They are what operate and govern your behaviors, your perception of life, your beliefs and attitudes, thoughts and feelings, choices and decisions all emerge out of those beliefs that were adopted from the past, from well-meaning parents, from society, conditioning, and you had to have a program to operate under. And so you adopted other people's until you could discover and find your own and choose to create your own destination. And so we began this first part on how to change your limiting beliefs. About 3 weeks ago, I taught about that, and it's now available to rewatch. And then this is part two. Part two is on how to give yourself the opportunity to break free from the pain of your past. Where those old beliefs originated, it had impact. And so this part is on soul rebirth, the soul rebirth by healing the pain of your past, by healing your inner child. And that's what we're going to embark upon today. And then next week, I'll be talking about the third in this trilogy, and that is hope, accessing the mystery and the power of the future. That's the final and concluding phase, because in so many ways, who you are in the present moment, who you are is the energy between your relationship with the past and the relationship you have with the future. Both are sending you energy into the present moment. And so if the past has a wounded child, has old beliefs and attitudes that no longer serve you, they are influencing who you are. They are influencing how you see yourself, how you see other people, and how you relate to the world. Thus, it has tremendous impact on your experiences in life. And if you want to change your experiences in life, if you want to change your lifestyle from one of struggle and suffering to a lifestyle of freedom and ease, then you need to heal the pain of the past. And I will teach you how to do that today in 7 steps. 7 steps for a soul rebirth and to awaken that part of you that is the innocent child, the magical child versus the adaptive and panicked child that might be still inside of you operating. It can be that energy of that child and that part of you, the younger version, child and adolescent, that could be running and filling you with anxiety, uncertainty, self-doubt, procrastination, and ultimately the pain that all of that produces and the struggle of moving through your day. And so just to give you the bigger picture of what today is all about, this is stage 2. Stage 3 next week will be on hope, accessing the hope and the mystery and magic of the future and understanding how you can relate to the future. But in order to get there, it's important to heal your relationship with the past, because that relationship with the past influences not only the present moment, but your future. So let's be about it. Let's go into understanding how can you heal the pain of the past? How can you heal your relationship with the past? And how that all begins. One quick moment here. I want to check one thing, make sure. Okay, good. How that begins is by understanding there are keys, 4 keys, 4 important keys that you need to understand in order for you to transform your relationship with the past. And the first key is to understand and to accept the fact that your past is a part of your path. It's not a mistake. You see, your path in life is your journey. It is your destination. And even though your destination and your destiny has been aligned with the disempowered part of you, the ego, it still has many lessons that you can learn through the struggle, through the pain, through the suffering, through the frustration. And those lessons can help you to make the conscious choice to align with your empowered destiny. So your past wasn't a mistake. So the part of you, the ego that says, yes, my life would work if only I was born too soon, born too late, if only I was born a male or a female, or if only I was born in a different place or not in this family, or whatever the if onlys, to recognize and acknowledge that my soul chose those parents and those people because there were lessons and challenges I needed to overcome in order for me to fulfill my empowered destiny. So in so many ways, your past offers you a lot of contrast towards what you do want, meaning it's oftentimes the opposite of what you do want. If you have this soul lesson about freedom in this lifetime, you're not going to be born into a family of therapists who focus on freedom and you're going to sit there and learn all the lessons of freedom. No, you're going to be put into a position where you are without freedom, where you can build the desire for it and understand the value of it. So your past is a part of your path. It's so important, so important. And not only rewriting your destiny, but in allowing yourself to mitigate and reduce the pain and the struggle in the present moment. And that's the first key to transforming your relationship with the past. The second key is to understand that your inner child, your inner adolescent, your inner teenager, depending on what age you are listening to this, that those parts of your past are not over with. They're not done, water under the bridge. Yeah, Mikhail, why are you bringing this up? That's over. I can't do anything about it. It's never too late to have a happy childhood, is what I've always said. When you understand that your inner child is real, it's a living, breathing part of your emotional body, your mental body, and your spiritual body. Now, physically, the physical body is the illusion, and it appears as if, well, that's over with. I'm no longer a little toddler. I'm no longer, an acne teenager. I'm a grown up. Yes, you are, physically. However, emotionally and mentally, that inner child that's wounded can still be alive and active, and it can sabotage your best efforts when you do not understand that it's a part of you. So the second key is that it's real energy. It's not a technique. Your inner child is very real. And when you can let that in and understand that emotionally, mentally, spiritually, is an inner child, an adolescent, a teenager, different parts of yourself that are operating inside your consciousness. And until you go into that consciousness and consciously choose to change it by changing the way you relate to the past, by changing your relationship and healing the inner child. Because you see, what the inner child wants is perfect love. And they have this notion of perfect love because as an infant, before you became physical on your spiritual journey, you were one with God, Goddess, all that is. You were connected to the divine. And you felt their love unconditionally, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There was no time and space, so there wasn't time. But my point being is, it was unending. And then you became physical and you chose, I'm going to separate from my, quote, heavenly parents to discover myself, to understand myself. So I separated in consciousness, not in reality, in consciousness. And I came into the physical world to discover myself and have free will choice to explore and to create my unique individuality. And in so doing, I come into this little infantile body. And the first two people I relate to is my parents. They're two giants. And I erroneously project mother onto the goddess, and father onto God. And so that's where shame begins. Because a little infant child, a child, an adolescent, they have projected God, goddess onto their earthly parents. And guess what? Every earthly parent is doomed to not give you the perfect love because you're competing with the divine. And you know, when you were once connected to God, goddess, all that is, and you come in this physical world and then you project it onto your mother and father, well, your mother and father cannot give you 24 hours and 7 days a week attention. So when they start paying attention to your siblings or having to go to work, the love just left. What's wrong with me? I don't deserve to be loved, is what the infant, immature ego associates with. And therefore, there must be something, quote, wrong with me. And that's where shame is born. And unfortunately, many religions play off of that shame and say, yes, you are a sinner. You are worthless. You don't matter. And the shame in you says, yeah, I feel that because I lost that my relationship, that connection with love, because I projected erroneously onto my earthly parents what my spiritual parents once did. So understanding that your inner child is real and understanding that you can change your relationship with the past. It is not a figment in your imagination. And then the third key to healing your relationship with the past is to let your parents off the hook. Let your parents be people. Look through the eyes of the adult and see these two people as human beings that had flaws and defects, that had hopes and dreams. Some of them accomplished, some of them dashed. They had their struggles. They're human. They weren't given a book on how to raise a child. To let your parents be people is one of the greatest ways to mature the ego, but also to tell yourself the truth. Instead of projecting mother and father onto every woman and man you come into contact with, trying to get their approval or praise, you can let them be people. And that's the third key to healing your relationship with the past, is change the way you relate to your parents. See them as people. Forgive them for not giving you the perfect love that you wanted and misunderstood that it should have come from them, when it really was your soul and spirit connected, your soul connected to the goddess, your spirit connected to God. It is that spiritual love that can fill that emptiness and void, but you didn't know it at the time. And you also needed, because your path is part of your past, you needed to go through that separation. You needed to feel that emptiness. You needed that so that you would build the desire and the choice to heal and to align and to become empowered. So the third important key is to let your parents be people. And then the fourth key, so we've talked about your first key is to understand that your past wasn't a mistake. It was part of your path. Whatever happened, wherever you were born, wasn't a fluke. And let go of your if onlys. And once you do that, you can then step into recognizing and acknowledging that your inner child is a real, living, breathing part of your consciousness, no longer physical, but no less impactful. And then the fourth key to allowing yourself to understand and to transform your relationship is to know that what's real about your past is your emotional being. Because it was in your past that you learned to be afraid because of being abandoned, betrayed, rejected, or humiliated. But what's real about it today? You're not living there now, but yet that fear of abandonment might still be operating in your consciousness and affecting you presently and in your relationship to the future, which I'll talk about later. So your emotions are what's real about the past. How do you feel about your past? What happened? Do you feel like a victim, which we all began there? Or have you matured beyond it to take your power back and to respond to your past versus react to it? You see, egos react to things. Our ego is, our heart is closed and we react. But when your heart is open, you take responsibility and you learn to respond to the past. So understanding that, this fourth key is that what's real about the past is your emotional feeling towards it. And I can heal the pain. I can heal the anger. I can take the jealousy, the anger, the hurt that I had from that childhood that's stored because I was taught as a little boy or a little girl that, don't behave. And how do you behave? You repress your emotions. You smile, you say please and thank you. And you don't express your anger. You don't express your hurt. You don't express your disappointment. You see, in the past, it's very, we're, all of us as children were taught to repress our emotions. And that's where depression comes from, among other things. But it's also, those emotions are the source of your power. And if you ignore them and deny them and repress them, then you become disempowered. However, if you choose to seek to understand your emotions. Why do I feel this way? Why am I getting jealous? Why am I feeling lonely or hurt? To seek to understand it and to pay attention to it, you can begin to heal and transform those liabilities into an asset. Your power that's trapped in the past is trapped in your emotional relationship to the past. You can't go back there and change events. They're over with. But what's real about those events is the emotional impact it's having on you right now and in the future. So that's the fourth key. And through this trilogy of these three classes, from rewriting your limiting beliefs to understanding your relationship to the future, and then healing the pain of your past. As you do all three of these, you give birth to a new you, an empowered version of you that your soul has been calling you your entire life. And you have been on a path leading you towards this experience of wholeness, of empowerment, of freedom, of abundance, of joy, of love. More love in your life than you can even fathom. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. So let's now go into, how do you heal the pain of your past? Well, a lot of people will often say, how do I love myself more, Mikhail? I want to love myself more, but I don't know how to do that. Well, one of the ways is to heal your inner child, because that's a part of you that is often abandoned, left behind, wounded, but it's over with. And the ego says, I don't want to go back there and feel that pain. I don't want to go back there. Let's just pretend it doesn't matter. Let's just pretend it has no impact. Let's just pretend it's done. And let me focus on making up for that rather than healing it. I abandon my relationship to those feelings and that living, breathing inner child that's waiting for someone to help them to become whole. And guess who better? Who better to understand what your inner child went through but you? So to love yourself is about doing inner child work. That's the first thing that you can do, tangible things you can do to begin loving yourself and setting yourself free in the present moment. Because when you heal your inner child, it doesn't mean that, oh, my inner child's doing well and I'm back to where I was. No, as I mentioned, the energy coming from that past influences the present moment, and likewise from your future. So let's talk about the 7 steps. Step by step, I want to guide you on how to heal your inner child. Because when you do, you can access the freedom that you've dreamed of, the move and lift out of the current conditions of limitation and struggle. You can access a new level of freedom and energy. Remember how energetic you were as a child? Remember how curious and creative you were? You can access that creativity. You can access that energy that has been repressed and long forgotten. You can not only remember it, but you can reconnect and revitalize your energy now. When you heal your inner child, you can mature beyond being a grown-up into the adult. You see, the adult is always a conscious choice. Your body is a grown-up. And if you're occupying that body and you're mentally, emotionally functioning as a child or a wounded child or an adaptive adolescent or a panicked teenager, And yes, physically you look like you are an adult, but you're just a grown up because you haven't responded and healed that relationship with your past. And it is influencing everything you do and every experience you have. So, the first step, how do you heal your inner child? The first step is you find a photograph of yourself as a young child. And I want you to go back to the earliest stages of your childhood, to go back as far as you can remember to a picture of you as a little toddler. It could be 3 or 4 years old, it could be 5 or 6. But to see yourself and to find a photograph so that you can study and look at yourself and look how different you are. But really look into the eyes, find a photograph and see and connect with that inner child. See their innocence. See that part of them by studying them in that picture. This is the second step. Once you find the photo, is to start studying and sense and see their innocence. See their need and desire and yearning to be loved and accepted just as they were. To see and to acknowledge that. So important in this journey. And as you do so, as you get a photograph and you start to study it and you see their beauty, you see their innocence, look deeper beyond what you can see on the surface, and know that that inner child, before they became adaptive, would express their emotions openly and freely. They didn't have jealousies and resentments and I'll get you. They were open. They felt their emotions. They were hurt. They cried. They expressed. They released it. They got past it. They had a relationship with their emotions that was alive and vital. They could be angry 1 minute and 5 minutes later they're whistling and coloring in their coloring book. They didn't harbor and hold on to their emotions to control them. They were free and they had this aliveness and this vitality. Well, as you study that photo, see that. The second step is to see their beauty and innocence, to connect with that photo, to connect and to feel the feelings of the truth of who you are, the essence of who you are as a spiritual being. Find that energy, that presence in that photo by studying it, by looking into it. The third step is then to come up with 5 different words that are verbs that describe that inner child. 5 different words. You can look in the photo to get hints and clues, but you can also remember. And I want to come up with 5 key words that best describe my inner child. It could be I was joyful. It could be I was caring or enthusiastic, or it could be I was loving, or it could be I was curious, or I was creative, or I was non-judgmental. Whatever it is, come up with at least 5 adverbs, or not adverbs, but verbs that describe the action of that child, how they functioned, how they express themselves. And that is the third step in the 7 steps to heal your inner child and to free yourself from the pain of the past. Now, the 4th step is the most challenging in this stepping process. And that is something I've already given you a little bit of clues about when I talked about the 3rd key of letting your parents be people, because that's this 4th step. And to really let that in, to let your parents be people. And if you haven't forgiven them, forgive them in this 4th step. Forgive your parents for being less than perfect. Forgive your parents for whatever you went through. Now, that's a whole separate class on how do you forgive somebody. But for now, you know what it means. You know how to do it. You can Google and find resources. You can take my other course on how to forgive yourself and understand that magic of forgiveness. But I don't have time to go into all of that. But just know that 4th step is so important, to forgive yourself, to set yourself free, and to let your parents be people so that you can step out of the grown-up into the adult. That's the 4th step. The 5th step is a very important step, because this 5th step is a guided visualization to actually set in motion this healing of your inner child. All the other steps were preparing you, initiating, preparing you for this step, this 5th step in the 7 steps to heal your inner child. Well, it's a visualization, and the visualization has 7 different steps. So it's the 5th step of the whole process, but then within this, to guide you into the visualization, rather than just giving you the whole visualization, I break it into bite-sized pieces so you can remember it and anchor it more easily. The first step, the very, very first step, is to create a comfortable space where you're not going to be disturbed. if you have a roommate, if you have a partner, if you have a relationship, tell them I'm going to go be by myself for the next 45 minutes and I'm going to meditate. That's all you have to say. Secure the place, turn off your phone, any distractions, get comfortable, relax. And then as you do whatever works for you to relax your mind and to get focused. Some of you meditate regularly. You can do your own ritual technique. If not, there's the yoga stretch for the eyes technique that I teach. You can be relaxed and focused in less than 5 minutes. But however you want to do that. And by the way, that technique will be included in this course that this video is being recorded for. I'll include that technique, but I'm not going to have time to describe it right now. So the first step is create a comfortable space and relax and focus your mind. Take a couple deep breaths. You don't have to go into a deep meditation for this visualization process, okay? Second step. The second step is then to set your intention. Why am I relaxing? Why am I doing this meditation? Because I want to heal the pain of my past. I want to heal my inner child. And I'm going to not only set my intention, but then I'm also going to ask for help. I'm going to ask for help from my higher self. I'm going to ask for help from my soul and my spirit. I'm going to ask for help from my future empowered destiny, my empowered future self. I'm going to ask for help and I'm going to set my intention, the second step. The third step is then you're going to imagine, you're going to remember and reconnect with that part of you called the inner child. How do you do that, Mikhail? How do I reconnect? I kind of reconnected by looking into the photograph, yes. But in this visualization, your eyes are closed and you're going to go back in time to the bedroom that you grew up in. And you're going to go in the middle of the night. Now, it doesn't mean you have to wait and do this visualization in the middle of the night. No. In your mind, you go back and it's the middle of the night in meditation because time and space doesn't exist in the imagination. So you go back and then you go to the child's bedroom and you see them sleeping. You see them there on their bed. You see them sleeping there and you remember their innocence. You remember their love, those 5 words that I talked about, their playfulness, their curiosity, their wonder. You see their innocence. You see their beauty. You are then connecting with them while they're sleeping. They're there resting and sleeping and you come in like a dream. If they are to wake up, that's the third step. And then the fourth step is that you ask light coming down and from your soul, your soul's essence and energy, your higher self. You can ask God, Goddess, all that is. You can ask whoever you consider is one of your spiritual teachers, leads, guides, someone who's, quote, greater than yourself spiritually. You ask for help and you sense them surrounded in light. You sense that little child now in this protective cocoon of light. You set your intention. You've asked for help. You remember and reconnect. Now this fourth step is you create the healing of that child by surrounding and cocooning them in a bubble of light. And in that bubble of light, the fifth step is your child's going to wake up. That's the fifth step of this visualization. They're going to wake up and they're going to be groggy. They're going to be like, what's going on? And through that light, they're going to see you. They're going to see you. And who are you, by the way? You're their future self. So you identify yourself. When they wake up, they're going to notice there's something about you. They're going to sense your love and how much you appreciate who they are by seeing their beauty, their innocence, their curiosity, their creativity. They're going to feel safe because there's something familiar about you. And as they wake up, you talk to them and you connect with them. I am your future self and I've come back to be your friend and I love you just as you are. And if they're willing, you let them hold, you hold them, you embrace them. You connect with that little child and you smell the smell of innocence, that of a child. You run your hand down their little tiny spine. You smell their fresh hair and their soft skin. You just hold them in a loving embrace and you whisper in their ear, you are good enough for me, little one. You are good enough for me. I love you just as you are, and I'm here for you. You can relax now. Something to those words. It doesn't have to be word for word what I just said, but something along those lines is the fifth step in this visualization. The child awakens and you connect and talk to that child and you affirm their goodness and you let them hear it in their consciousness. And then after you've communed, it could be a few moments, it could be a couple of minutes, they're going to start getting sleepy. And as they start to go in, they're still surrounded by that healing bubble of light, but they're starting to get sleepy because it's the middle of the night for them. And so you let them go back to sleep. And as they go back to sleep, you are there on their next to them on the bed. On the other side of the bed, then appears the empowered future self that has changed because of the healing of that inner child. You call upon that empowered future self and you see a version of you, an older version of you on the other side of the bed, who's radiant, who's healthy, who's whole, who's alive, who has healed those addictive responses that the child was trying to get its unmet needs through. You sense and see the you, free from that anxiety, free from the inhibitions, who has forgiven their parents, who has matured into the spiritual adult. You see your spiritual adult, the future empowered self on the other side of the bed, and together you're going to send energy. You can say a prayer, a blessing. You can send energy. If you're a Reiki teacher, send Reiki symbols, whatever it is. But you want to then seal the meditation, seal this visualization by you and your empowered future self healing that inner child. That wounded child now becomes free of the pain. And you see them smiling as they sleep into the night. And that is the sixth step of the visualization. And then the seventh step is you thank your empowered future self for their help. You thank your soul, your higher self, and you feel the gratitude and the appreciation, knowing you couldn't have done it on your own. You needed your spiritual help. You needed to have the humility to ask for help, not let your ego come in and say, I'll do it myself. I don't want to give anyone credit. But you want to let and thank and feel gratitude and appreciation as you bring the visualization to a close. Now, that's the seventh step of the visualization process within the fifth step of how to heal your inner child, how to be free from the pain of your past. So that concludes this fifth step in the 7 steps of visualization. Now, the sixth step, after you're done, come out of meditation, come out of the visualization, you want to get a mirror. You want to get a mirror and you want to look into your own eyes. And as you look into your own eyes, you want to forgive yourself. I forgive myself for projecting God, Goddess onto my parents. I want to forgive myself for misunderstanding that they weren't the source of unconditional love that I've yearned for my entire life. I want to forgive myself for abandoning my inner child and ignoring it and pretending and repressing those emotions and pretending it didn't matter. I want to forgive myself by looking into your eyes and forgive yourself. That's the 6th step in this journey. Then the 7th step is a journaling technique. And in this 7th step, the healing is complete. You've set in motion a healing on many different multidimensional layers of your being. And this last step is you journal. Now, what can I stop doing now? What can I let go of? What can I stop doing? What can I let go of? I can let go of my self-talk that's judgmental, my monkey mind. I can let go of the anxiety around being around other people, hoping to get their approval and praise because I was so functioning as a wounded child. I can let go of my cynicism, my criticalness. I can let go. What can I let go of? To write down into journal. Now that I've healed this part of me, what can change now? And be conscious and make a list of things you can release and let go of. And then also journal and write about what can you embrace more of. Now that that inner child's healed, I can embrace more of my vulnerability to be creative, the vulnerability of loving, of being loved by others. I can be more intimate. I can be more real. I can be more connected. I can feel more love. I can celebrate my life. I can feel less guilt and more gratitude. to write about what can I embrace more of with this healed child. That's the seventh and final step in how to heal the pain of your past. 7 steps. The 5th step is a visualization, and within that visualization, there's 7 steps within that. But as you follow along, you will not only heal the inner child, but you can let go of decades of repressed pain and hurt that keeps you struggling and suffering in the present moment and keeping you anchored to the disempowered destiny, that future self that you are here to take your power back from, that you are here to shift the course of your future by rewriting your destiny. Now that you have changed those limiting beliefs and you've upgraded your mental software to the present moment, to what you do want versus what you don't want, which was the stage 1 in this trilogy on how to rewrite your destiny by changing your limiting beliefs. And then this second step, having retrieved and healed, transforming your relationship to the past. And now you're ready. You're ready for the stage 3, which is the next class on hope and changing your relationship to the future. Because most people don't know how to relate to the future. It's harder for them to imagine. It's a mystery. I'll wait and see what happens, Mikhail. That is what a disempowered, wounded person does, is wait and see, instead of consciously creating what they want to have happen. And they don't know how. They're not bad people. They just don't understand how the mind works. But you do. And so I want to answer a couple of common questions. I've taught this class in the past. And one of the common questions is, well, is that all I have to do, Mikhail? Is just go heal my inner child and I'm done? No. That sets it in motion. Now, you might have realized there were times in your life, like when I was 7 or 8 years old, I flunked a class in school, or I got held back, and I was so humiliated. I want to go back and talk to that adolescent part of me, not just the inner child, but the adolescent. Always begin as far back to the inner child as possible, because that's the part of you that's less defensive. That's the part of you that's less wounded. But as time went on, those beliefs, those attitudes created experiences where you became more wounded. And so the adolescent tends to get more defensive, and it's a little bit more challenging to heal compared to the inner child. So always start with the inner child and then progress as a timeline. Oh yeah, I remember when I was in 7th grade or 8th grade, and then when I went to high school, this happened, whatever. Now, does that mean, Mikhail, I have to go back and find every little? No. Because what's happening here is your subconscious mind and your higher self and your soul want you to be whole. They want you to fulfill your empowered destiny. They're there to help you, and you've asked them for help. So when you start to consciously go back and set time, make time to show them this matters to me, and go back and heal that inner child. And then let's say you go back and heal the adolescent. Maybe there's an incident as a teenager or a young grown-up, when you're in college or in high school, you go back and heal three different times at different advancements of maturity, meaning the child, the adolescent, the teenager. Go back and heal not everything that happened there, but just 3 different sittings. You can give your subconscious mind the message, who will then, with your soul and your higher self, continue to heal. As you sleep at night, you might start having dreams of events that are healing and being purged. You might have emotions come up that you didn't realize, where's this coming from? Oh, this is all that repressed disappointment I had when I flunked whatever. But you'll set it in motion, the healing. So you only have to do this several times, and then you can trust and let go and know that you've set in motion the healing of the pain of the past. And your subconscious mind will only let up as much as necessary for you to deal with. And that is one of the common questions I have. So yes, it's not just this one time, it sets it in motion, and you'll start to benefit from this one time. And then you go back and go to the older version of you. Nightfall? No. Give yourself 3 to 5 days in between. Knowledgeable you are and how much you've done inner work, you can do it in 3 days minimum. But you can also, and within 5 or 6 or 7 days, depending on the intensity and depending on your schedule and lots of things. So then maybe a week later, go back and work on the adolescent or the teenager. And so that's another common question. If you've had trauma, severe psychological, mental, emotional, or even physical abuse, I recommend working with a therapist, working with somebody else to work with, to guide you, to heal, and to help hold your hand so that you can have the support you need. But for most people, you can work on your inner child, you can work on your adolescent and your teenage on your own. You don't need, quote, a therapist. You can use this video course, this mini course, and come back and reference it and keep it as a guide to guide you through. And the process I described for healing your inner child is very similar to that of the adolescent or the teenager. You see their innocence, you see their beauty, you feel their pain, you connect with them, and you let them know who you are, and you surround them in light, and you ask your higher self and soul to help heal them. It's not very different. It's just an older version of you. So I hope everyone's got some value on this Solution Sundays from this second part of the trilogy on rewriting your destiny. If you're interested in the first part on how to change your limiting beliefs, I give you a step-by-step process, and that is available as a mini course. You can access that very easily. I will leave it in the chats below, the link. It's available today, and you can start working on changing your limiting beliefs, and then you can work on your inner child. It doesn't have to be in that order. And then we'll be prepared for the next stage next Sunday, when I help you to access the freedom and the healing and the impact of the future by igniting and expanding hope. And that's going to be the conclusion of these 3 courses. So if you have any questions, please IM me below. As I'm teaching, I don't look and read the chats and the comments on here, but I do go back and I do respond. So I'm in the flow, and sometimes I try to get, to try to read questions and that kind of thing. It gets a little challenging. You can also IM me if you're on my Facebook. You can IM me. Some of you on here are on YouTube. You can reach me there. There will be a link to the Rewriting Your Destiny, and that's available for you to work on as a mini course. Less than an hour worth of material, step-by-step, how to change your limiting beliefs in less than 60 minutes. So until next time, until next week, thank you for your time, for your love, for your attention. And may your journey in life and throughout this next week, may your journey continue to reveal the truth of who you are. And who you are is a beautiful and majestic spiritual being. It's time to remember. And beyond remembering, to realign and reconnect and to fulfill your empowered destiny. Thank you. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Be well now.